welcome to Stand Up Speak Out UK presents That Was the News That Was. I'm going to have a competition among you all. What was the best introduction? I still recorded it. I should do that. Anyway, what a nice week it's been. Actually, I've just come from a fascinating talk. It's, what is it now? It's 9:14 in the evening, Thursday evening. I've just been for a talk run by two people who I'm going to have on the podcast about gatekeeping, but there were so many other things. I heard so many sad stories. You know, the longest I've heard somebody being in temporary housing was 6 years, and then somebody come out for 9 years. And I think it's longer than that, personally. But that's another subject. What an interesting week it's been. Of course, the main thing was the Chancellor's autumn statement, which is the preparation for the budget, which was incredible. Yeah, I'll tell you what, the previous week I thought I was mysticky. I'd said things and then the papers followed. Doubt very much they found me. Number one, I said Suella Braverman, who I've got a new name for. I now call her Wider Mouth. She words spew out of her mouth, but I don't think her brain's in context. I can give you reasons, but I won't. Then 2 weeks before, I was commenting on the COVID enquiry, and I'll be talking about that later on. But maybe I'll talk about that now, and then we'll go into the statement. I said, out of fairness, and I must admit I'm a fair person. I'm a bleeding out liberal, I suppose. People would call me. That, as you may remember, they were talking about a meeting between Sunak and Johnson, which the secretary was at, this bloke. And he stated that one of them said, why are we bothering anyway? They're going to die. Or they're going to die, why are we bothering anyway? Sorry. And he was asked who said it. And he said, I believe it was the Prime Minister. Now, I think most of him, it's Boris. Yeah, I even thought it was Boris. But out of fairness, I said, we have a past Prime Minister and a present Prime Minister. Why did he just say the name? And now, this week, what happens? Sunak's been accused of saying it. Now, on his behalf, and to be fair, it could be some of Boris's mates putting the rumour around. Because whoever said it is damning. This is the end of their career as a politico. Probably the end of their career as being a human being. Well, I must admit, Boris I never thought was a human being. And after last week's statement from Mr. Sunak, which he did say when they lost in the Supreme Court, by spring there will be flights to Rwanda. Funny thing is, the following day Hunt said no. Was this reaction? Interesting. So, as Mystic here, I put up these predictions. Now, Matt Down you heard on Monday had put a posting up on LinkedIn saying they've asked for 30%. I thought, no way will they give 30%. They've got to hold on to their money. After all, how can Sunak afford his planes without if he gives that money away? And lo and behold, 30% was happening. I texted Matt and he said, yeah, good, some things are good. And the only thing I got right was the pension rise, 8.5%. I'm in the money. I'm a pensioner, which is good. I will admit I fund this podcast out of my pension at the moment. I have dreams of the future, but I'll reveal them next year when I shall conquer the world. Now, this podcast is about informing people through my guest show and something else I'll talk about later on. So, all of a sudden, in my prediction, I said, because they're all talking about cutting benefits in the papers. I thought they won't cut benefits, they'll freeze them again. Lo and behold, benefits got a rise of 6.75%. I could not believe it. Because in the past, they've usually got half of that. And then there was 2p off national insurance. I predicted 1p. Everything. On the 30th of this month, next Thursday, I will have an economist on to explain the budget. I basically asked him, can the country afford it? Because I came across an article in which, wait for it, we owe £2.25 trillion. To help you know what £2.25 trillion, I'm going to put it in the thing below, in the wording below, because I could not conceive that amount of money. I've seen it now and I still can't conceive it. This is ridiculous. So, boom. But funny enough, I have a mobility problem, unfortunately. I can't walk as fast as I can, and what I thought would take me 10 minutes took me 20 minutes. So I missed PMQs, and my friend told me Sunak said the one phrase that I hate. And he did that the last time he made a speech as the Chancellor. He said, the Conservative Party, the party of the people. Well, I'm going to tell you now, the Conservative Party, the party that will remain in power. Today, what I see in papers, we're going to have a spring election. Some people forecast, which wouldn't be bad. You'd probably do it after April. So you've got your money in, you're thinking, oh, aren't they nice people? They're giving us some extra money. Well, next year, they'll probably cut that extra money. How can they afford it? That is my question. And the theme for today is, by the way, the truth. It is the truth. I can't see how they can afford all this money when you've got that debt. If you may remember, and I will say now, when the leadership battle came up, I'm not a Conservative, I thought Sunak would be the best person, he understands the finances. Because Truss kept them about cuts in everything. And I'm going to ask my economist, I can't understand what they're saying, is there a cut in business tax? It sounds like there is. They've scrubbed the stamp 2, so they're saving people a lot of money if they're self-employed. I wonder how many of the MPs are self-employed. It's all a cheat to make them, they're the party of the people. No, the Conservative have had 13, well next year it'll be 14, we'll say 14 years to get this country right. Now, I'll say, in the first 5 years, they were blaming the Labour Party. And yeah, you've got to say that, because they're handing it over. But, 4 months, 6 months ago, what come out of their mouth? It's all the Conservative Party. Now, we won't talk about what Widemouse said to Ella Braverman. To Ellen Braverman, I'm not going to call her that friendly name, because she talks out of the back of her ass. And that's my opinion. You may disagree with me, I've no problem. But this is all about, they're so friendly. Actually, I saw a point of order that appeared after in the evening. I was looking through YouTube. I use YouTube as one of my research documents to look at inquiries and other things. And an MP stood up and said, James Cleverly, remember I mentioned him last week? He's now the Home Secretary. Had when this gentleman asked this question to the Prime Minister, He says to the Prime Minister, why in my constituency 3/4 of the children on the poverty level? And the Prime Minister replied as this. I don't know how to cut these things out, so I don't understand. He said, several 100,000 people are now above the thing, and then he realised there were children. Oh yeah, and children as well. So, but London has a population of 9.6 million. I think the country has a population of 68 million, maybe. Not bad, I suppose. So if you're a country of 1,000, that's a pinprick in the population. So it's not really a boasting thing. I would say millions myself. But during that time, James Cleverly called him a name. And he brought it up. And the speaker was a lady speaker who is a Conservative. She said there's no proof of this. He actually said the recording was clean. I'd love to hear the recording. To be fair. Because I am a fair person. Nothing. Then today, he's actually apologised. Yeah, so there are times, unfortunately, when we let our emotions get hold of us. I very rarely call people names, but I have. When I lost my temper, I really got a temper. But I'll be interested. I'll be watching James Cleverly very closely over the coming months. But another thing came out when the Shadow Chancellor came out. She was saying that Jeremy Hunt might not be long in his position. And I will admit, I know a friend who worked for a medical company or a medical organisation when he was health minister, and he had not very good words for Jeremy Hunt. But I must admit, he's done a lot. He came in to try and recover what Looney Liz, well, we know it is Liz Truss, had done to the country. I still can't believe she said the same speech. Let's go back to this £2.25 trillion, which is debt. I don't know if any of you can help out, a couple of quid. But when Looney Liz made her first statement when she was going for the leadership, and it's the same statement she made at the conference, Sunak came out and said, we can't have the debt on our children and grandchildren. Well, I can't imagine £2.25 trillion being like a couple of years. We're talking 20, 30 years probably to pay it off. And the reason the country is going to debt is to do things. In other words, his words were hypocritical. Since his statement about the Rwanda thing, my opinion of Sunak has changed totally. I think he's a nasty person. I can now think, even though I'm going to be fair, I still feel it was Johnson who said the words, why are we bothering anyway? I could see him saying it. In war, which I said we won't talk about, but I'll talk about war as a general thing, there's a word called acceptable losses. Yeah. Terrible. Now the next item, which is all to do with money. This week there was an article saying that London councils needed £600 million to help the homeless. And it then mentioned two councils. One has filed for bankruptcy and the other one is close to it. And it shocked me because I thought another one was going to come up. Croydon Council has filed for bankruptcy. I actually contacted somebody who lives in Croydon. I said, how bad is it? All I got back, I texted him because I know he's busy most days. very bad. The other place is Havering. Now, all you know, Birmingham Council has gone to the wall. Council have a must do certain duties, whatever. And then the following day I saw this article, which will go into my third item, really, that immigrants in Liverpool are living in rooms where there's about 6 or 7 to a room. When I was a rough sleeper, you had night shelters. You might have, say, 15 people in a place, in a room. But this is bad. Like, the government giving out all this money, but they can't help out these councils. So what are we talking about? More homelessness? And that's the reality, because I'll come to my third item. I was contacted on last Thursday by a friend of mine who I've done some work with. He works for a major charity in London. He's also somebody I really respect and admire. His name is Ross Watkins. He's a senior person in a charity, but he does a lot of housing advice. And I enjoy talking to him because I'm going to bore you now. We talk about law. We talk about what's happening in the housing thing, and he knows more than me. I'm an amateur compared to him. And he informs me that in Lambeth, or Croydon, I can't remember exactly what now, but immigrants who are being, and he informed me there's no such thing as legal or illegal immigrants, but these people have been given permission to stay. They're in hotels. Soon they will be thrown out of the hotels. Now, I had heard something of this because a month ago, my day is really looking at articles, seeing what's interesting, see what's true, you know. I don't trust what GB News comes out with. They come out with crap. But usually I look at The Guardian, the BBC, and a few other papers during the day. That's what my morning consists of. You know, what's interesting. And I saw up north 2 hotels being closed down. I thought, what can I do about it? Because, you know, unfortunately I'm a one-man band. I have a friend, Mr. Neil Salmons, who created my logo and helps me with cleaning up the recordings, because I'm not very good at that. Even I have limitations. But apart from that, it's a one-man band. I have to decide what I'm going to talk to, who I'm going to talk to, do the interviews, do a lot of research. Half my day is in research mode. But it's useful when you know somebody. Well, eventually I'll be something big. And I imagine at one stage I was going to do specials. So, on Wednesday, I'll be producing something called Real Lives, which has a nice title to it. I love titles. And I'll be bringing Ross on. We're going to talk about, we do digress occasionally. We've done lots of work together over the years on different things. But he informed me this important point, as I said before. There's no such thing in legal or illegal. This is the term that Widemouth uses to cause hatred. But we just had a budget. Millions and millions of pounds have been sent out of it, but more than the 600 million that the London councils need. So why isn't it used to help these people? Are we happy to push people out in the streets? Are you happy? I know I'm not. Unfortunately, I live in a little flat. Nice flat. Because I could have been home. I could have been on the street last year. You'll hear more about that on the 1st of January, when I share my story. But who am I? I'm just one person. It's such a shame that we have to come to this situation. I'm very sad about that element, ladies and gentlemen. I don't like the idea of people living on the streets. I lived on the streets, well, the first time 18 months and the next 2 times. 3-month periods, but still. And last year it could have been again, and I will admit to you, I might have mentioned this before, I don't think I would have survived. It sounds very melodramatic. It's not a holiday living on the streets. It's not like, as Widemouth said, a chosen lifestyle. But what can we do? It's terrible to, the main thing you do is try and survive. After a while, you know where to go, you get used to it. Well, they not get used to it, you're used to going to these places. I always remember there's a mission in Waterloo, Weber Street mission. I used to go there for breakfast when I couldn't afford, because connections cost money and they had no money. So I go there, it's edible. Nothing fantastic. But at least you got some food, you got a hot drink in the morning. It makes me sad. So we've got this, we've got loads of money being chucked at us. Right? The doubt about the inquiry, and I forgot one more thing about the inquiry. Chris Witty, who was the chief medical advisor, scientist or whatever, I'm presuming he's medical advisor, to the government, stated we should have been locked down earlier. Why, do you ask? Why should we have been locked down earlier? Why weren't we locked down earlier? Well, I believe that Johnson was more interested in the economy. If you may remember, I did say this. When it first appeared, he was on radio and he said, I'm going to go around shaking people's hands. And what happened? He ended up in hospital. Idiot. I personally, if I'd been him, I would have said this. I said, well, we're not sure, but I advise caution. But don't panic. We will handle it. Because panic is going to come out anyway. I've got a friend who really, I wouldn't say he was wrong, but I know he went to this local shop. He said, this guy's right up my arse. I don't know how close he was. Always wore his mask. And I see masks are coming back even now, I've seen. So, to recap again, the bribery budget, as I call it. Sunak could be up for the boot if it's proved whoever said it. It's going to be him and Johnson. Of course, we can't blame Dominic Cummings, who was, oh God, the guy's so arrogant, he makes me seem modest. Should we be closed down? It's quite interesting, the inquiry. The guy who's running it, or asking, is King's Counsel, well, Queen's Counsel in the Queen's days. Quite good. I would have still asked that secretary when he said, I believe the Prime Minister, I would say, what's the name of the person? But the assumption is obvious. Most people think it's Boris. And now we got people who have been put in a hotel, going to be chucked out of a hotel, thus increasing the homeless population. The last figure was in London, 217,000 people. And then you've got people in temporary accommodation. I'm going to bring Ross on at some stage next year, because I've got quite a few guests to go through in a guest show and talk about who is the homeless, because I didn't think about it. So that's it. So next week, let's talk about next week. Next week, we're going to do Tony the Addict Part 2, Anthony the Clean. And it's amazing. The reason he stopped, I thought, was incredible. We hear it in his words. Now on Wednesday, I'll have Real Lives. We'll talk about these immigrants. And you will say we digress, because we've worked on loads of projects together. On Thursday, I will have the Economist come on, and it's once again be short, but it's best that we hear from those sort of people, because I could comment on the budget. Yes, I'm good with figures, but let's get an expert. So he's going to be my expert. And then Friday, bit of news. So I'm going to wish you a nice weekend. If you hear it on the weekend, if not, you hear it next week. Nice weekend. And I should say this all the time, I never say it. If you feel this is interesting, share it with some friends. Thank you very much, and bye.